Good day, my name is Angelo. This is Nation Voice Tower, your most preferred YouTube channel. How have we been? As for we over here, we're doing perfectly alright. Today is a sad day in the country. Of course, forget the fact that there are smiles on my face. Of course, I have to smile because I'm speaking to my most lovely viewers. But on the right side of it, today is a very sad day for well-meaning Nigerians because, of course, the Supreme Court actually stipulated today, 26th of October 2023, as the final judgment day as regards the appeal of the petition of Peter Obi against Bola Ahmed Tinibu of the APC, and INEC, also Atiku against INEC and Bola Ahmed Tinibu. To that effect, the Supreme Court has delivered its judgment, and it has dismissed the petitions of both Atiku Abubakar and Peter Gregory Onwubuasi Obi, hereby affirming Bola Ahmed Tinibu as duly elected president of Nigeria. I would like to give you a brief overview of what happened in court before we proceed to the next update. But all notwithstanding, this confirms my update of few days ago when I told you the Supreme Court was going to dismiss the petition of Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar on the grounds of technicalities, and these were the basic grounds on which they dismissed the petition of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party. So I'd love to give an overview of whatever conspired in court, so we'll be able to follow up and of course get the real gist of everything that happened. The Supreme Court rejected the Chicago State University evidence. They said the law didn't actually permit amendment of the petition. The judge said he wondered how the appellants planned to use the documents from Chicago State University. One of the judges went on to say that this motion was after 180 days as prescribed by the law. There is no way this motion can be sent back to the lower court to try the matter again. This court cannot carry out what the lower court cannot do. There is no doubt whatsoever that the deposition is one of the substances, and that is why the appellants are seeking to introduce it at this stage of the appeal of petitions. After the expiration of time of the petition, no amendment shall be made. The judge went further to read the contents of the Electoral Act of 2023. Nothing can be clearer than the above provision. A petitioner shall not be permitted to amend their petition 21 days after the filing petition. On section 285 of the Nigerian Constitution, the appellants argued, on the contrary, that there is no such limit as 180 days on which the lower court can hear matters of the Election Petition Tribunal. It is shocking to have the above argument. It is therefore an unnecessary joke. It is unfair to suggest that we go back to the previous laws. The lower court is beyond, or is bound, I beg your pardon, by section 285 subsection 6 of the Nigerian Constitution. They had to prove their case within the 180 days, and this expired since 17th of September 2023, according to one of the judges of the 7-man panel. The lower court, therefore, had no jurisdiction. Consequently, since the lower courts had no jurisdiction, it follows that this Supreme Court also has no jurisdiction to do that. These were the words of those justices that actually pronounced and rejected the admissal of the new evidence of Atiku Abubakar. Justice Emmanuel again went further to say that fresh evidence does not have the seal of the United States of America's court. And for authentication of the Chicago State University, he needed a sort of stamp from Chicago State University or a letter for a sort of fresh evidence. Justice Agim went on to say that even if it had all the seals of the U.S. court, it wasn't filed in the petition court That is at the tribunal. Justice Agim also said that Atiku Abubakar from the PDP did not ask the Chicago State University to issue a letter of disclaimer with their letterhead stating that they did not issue the certificate submitted by Bola Ahmed Tinibu to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Justice Agim went further to dismiss the appeal and also affirmed the judgment of the lead justice, John Nyang Okolo. That all said and done, it went further to boil to the fact that all these explanations and brief explanations and brief overview I gave you went further to prove that the Supreme Court delivered judgment, and although it started with Atiku's petition, the Supreme Court dismissed the petition and application by Atiku to admit the evidence of the forged certificates presented to INEC by the second respondent, Bola Ahmed Tinibu, on the ground that it did not plead that particular matter in the petition at the lower court, and within that time, the 180 days within which the lower court can try this petition had elapsed, thereby robbing the lower court and the Supreme Court the jurisdiction to hear the matter. According to what happened in court, that was for Atiku Abubakar. The Supreme Court also dismissed the petition of Peter Gregory Obi under the grounds that it lacked merit, thereby affirming the judgment of the Presidential Elections Petitions Court, PEPC. It actually affirmed that the Supreme Court did not say anything whatsoever about the issue of the forfeiture of the $460,000. This is what this update is affirming. The Supreme Court didn't say anything about the forfeiture of money by Bola Ahmed Tinibu sometime in the US as a sort of fine for narcotics trafficking and money laundering brought to the court by the appellants. So all said and done, it is now evident that there is no more case. Alright, Bola Tinibu has actually taken up the helm of affairs. Obviously, maybe he did his homework very well and he is here. So, I have a video next. I don't want to talk much on this petition. I just want to affirm lots of my updates. I gave you an update on the judgment a few days ago. If you check back my old videos, you will see that the judgment was received before the day was brought. I gave you updates. The reason why the judgment was brought forward instead of 2nd of November, they had a confusion. Finally, the 3 judges that were not in conformation with their money fell in and they affirmed the judgment, and they agreed to bring it closer to the 26th of October 2023, so as not to coincide with when the records from the FBI, the criminal records of Bola Ahmed Tinibu, will be released from the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Drug Enforcement Agency of the US, DEA, sometime on 30th of October. So in order not to allow these 2 events to occur together or concurrently, to kind of delay their own plan, they decided to bring this particular event of the final judgment to 26th of October 2023. That affirms that particular update. And other updates that I brought to you over time. Lots of people are in attendance. Sheyi Tinibu, Abdullahi Umaru Ganduje, the chairman of the APC, lots of people were in attendance, and it's so sad that Nigeria's democracy was murdered on the altar of technicality on this day, 26th day of October 2023. Posterity would never forget this. Of course, posterity will judge when time comes, all right? But there is a sort of hopeful video from David Hunde, an investigative journalist that has been on the run from Bola Ahmed Tinibu for a long while. David Hundeyin has granted a very, very exclusive and secret interview, and in this interview, he has actually reacted before the Supreme Court gave their own ruling. This interview was actually gotten in the morning, but we wanted to affirm the judgment of the Supreme Court together with our update, so we could bring you the exclusive interview of David Hundeyin. In this interview, David Hundeyin wasn't actually far from the truth. Rather, David Hundeyin gave a ray of hope to Nigerians both at home and in diaspora. What ray of hope did he give? He said that even if the Apex Court, although he said this before the Apex Court gave their judgment, but he was like, even if the Apex Court gave its final verdict, David thinks that the international community can still do something to save Nigeria's democracy. Please, I'll reveal the interview of David Hundeyin and listen to the ray of hope he had for Nigerians, just like him.
It's going to raise further questions, because regardless of what the Supreme Court does, obviously we know what the Supreme Court is going to do today. They're going to do the exact same thing the appeal court did, find a technicality with which to dismiss the new evidence being introduced into the court and then declare Tinibu the winner. Newsflash. But regardless of what happens today, what these documents are going to do is that they are going to raise the issue of whether Tinibu's position is in fact tenable, politically speaking, going forward. Because to the best of my knowledge, in Nigeria's entire post-colonial history, it has never happened that a sitting head of state, whether military or civilian, a sitting head of state will have that degree and manner of scandal hanging over his head. To the best of my knowledge, not even Babangida had that level of scandal hanging over his head, and that was a very corrupt person. So this is many levels above anything we have ever had to deal with. And I think we're going to start seeing questions surrounding, for example, the possibility of impeachment. I know under the Nigerian political system, impeaching a sitting president is next to impossible, but these are conversations that are almost inevitably going to arise. They're going to start seeing conversations about prosecution in international courts. So if you recall, something similar to when the former president of Sudan, Omar al-Bashir, when he got to a point when he was actually wanted internationally, he was the subject of an ICC investigation, and he actually couldn't travel freely. If you remember, on one occasion when he traveled on a state visit to South Africa, and he had to leave South Africa at short notice because he was notified that he was going to be arrested shortly, right? These things are possible, even if someone is a sitting head of state. These are issues, or the specters of these things are, inevitably going to be raised when the contents of these files become public in about 4 days' time. So, I guess all we have to do is just sit down and watch it play out.
Okay, David Hundeyin on that one. And, well, we're in that together. And I would love to say that we are held up in a web, very thick web. Okay, I don't think we would see headways in Nigeria, but the international community and the Almighty, of course, these are the only options at this point. Let's see how matters will unfold over time. Finally, there has been an issue rocking the National Assembly on the distribution of SUVs as a sort of monetizing the loan process of regaining amounts spent on such sensitization, or let me say incentive on the National Assembly lawmakers. All right, there have been lots of reactions from Nigerians on why members of the National Assembly should be gifted with SUVs, which looks likely like it will be deducted from their salaries as a form of money generation for the government, of course, as it has done in the past. And lots of controversies. All right. So speaking about this and throwing more light, I have Mr. Andrew Mamedu, who is the country director of the Action Aid. He has come to broaden our minds on what he thinks the recent distribution of SUVs to the National Assembly lawmakers has to do with their own main focal point in the National Assembly, and how Nigerians have to react to this in comparison with what local government chairmans and councillors have been doing with this sort of incentives too over time. Please stay tuned for Andrew Mamedu.
I think clearly, Senator started rightly. So Nigerians started complaining in 1999, 2003, 2007. So every time Nigerians raise issues, so it's not about civil society sponsoring it, it's about the mood of the country at every point in time. And it's obvious that the National Assembly, they are not listening. Now, there's a common saying that you don't continue in error in perpetuity. So because a local government chairman does it, a clerk or a level 7 officer does it, does not make it right. So I think that's where the National Assembly should then come and lay example for the country, so they are able to also hold the executive and the judiciary accountable. If you look at the monetization policy, I think it's quite clear. If you know Abuja very well, you have the legislative quarters. Those buildings were built by government for legislators, but at some point the government decided to hands up those, and it was sold to people, occupier bases, and senators bought some of those buildings, other Nigerians bought those buildings. So right now, it has been monetized. Same for vehicles. So vehicles for personal use, those have been monetized. So you do not have any reason to then look for. So the car loan of 400%, that exists. But again, it shows that there is no transparency, there is no accountability. So we're not able to know as citizens, this is the amount the vehicle would cost us. A senator was asked on air, and he said, I'm not in a position to say. So the senator should be very clear and clean about it and come out clearly and say, this is the amount we are spending, this is the breakdown of the amount, this is the loan component, and this is how we'll pay it back. Nigerians will then go ahead in following those sums. We require about 20,000 additional classrooms according to universal basic education. So that amount will go a long way in solving that, about half of that exactly. So we don't have the president, of course, telling us to tighten our belt as Nigerians. So it's not about sponsoring, it's about the mood of the country. It's about all the time, and it keeps getting worse. And it looks like when Nigerians complain, it looks like the National Assembly, they are not listening, they are not paying attention. So it is not about an interest, it's not the political interest, it's about the country, the mood of the country. Maybe the constituents that the National Assembly is serving, maybe they are not getting to those constituents to find out how many people call you every day for just feeding for their family. And we are looking at how much that amount will pay 156,000 minimum wage, annual minimum wage. That amount, if you pull it together at 30,000 naira minimum wage, it will pay about 156,000 persons for 1 year. So that is it's not small figure, and there are whole arguments around why send out those monies outside the country, right? Why not get vehicles that are produced in Nigeria? All of those arguments add up. Can we get something? If they are utility vehicles, they are cheaper utility vehicles we can get, and not those figures. So clearly, it's not about taking side. It's about actually what are the poor persons saying, and how will this go ahead in solving issues of poverty that we have in the country.
All right. That was Andrew Mohamed there. After the explanation, I think we have to cut the cost of governance. Whether you are giving these SUV cars to these National Assembly lawmakers as a form of loan recovery afterwards, or you're giving it out as a monetization process, recovery of money and all of that, or funds. No, don't even start it, because there is always a lot of or a sort of fall when it comes to recovery of such, monetized cash from automobiles, especially when it's granted as a sort of loan process by the government. There are lots of issues. In fact, lots of people or beneficiaries of such loan tools don't even appear accountable. Some of them finally don't even account for this loan provisions. All right, so you tend to see that over time Nigeria loses, or the government, or whoever or whichever firm was responsible for that loses. Hence the reason why we feel this should be stopped. The cost of governance should be cut in order for the economy to flow evenly and to all other parts of the country. Thank you so much for staying with us. I hope you enjoyed our update. I would love to urge you to like our videos, share them. Don't forget to drop a comment for us in the comment section. If you're watching me for the first time, tap the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you'll get to see me when I'm on air dropping updates. See you next time. Bye.